Something allegedly happened inside Windsor Castle that sounds almost impossible for an institution this old. According to this dramatic account, King Charles entered a private room expecting a routine discussion about future royal arrangements. Instead, waiting for him were Prince William and Catherine with a plain cream-colored folder. Inside was reportedly a proposal containing one simple rule. When Charles's reign eventually ends, the working household surrounding his wife would end with it. No automatic staff, no inherited offices, and no guaranteed royal headquarters. But the most shocking part was not what happened to Camilla. It was what Catherine was willing to accept herself. The meeting was reportedly listed as a discussion about future transition arrangements. On paper, that phrase sounded completely ordinary. It could mean staffing changes, royal diaries, patronages, offices, residences, or preparations for another transition within the monarchy. Charles allegedly arrived expecting nothing more than administrative business. Then he noticed the folder sitting between William and Catherine. It reportedly had no royal crest and no elaborate decoration, just a few words printed across the front. Charles looked at his son, then at Catherine, apparently waiting for an explanation. Catherine reportedly opened the folder herself and turned the first page toward him. The first page allegedly contained language that was remarkably cold and formal. There was reportedly no personal criticism of Camilla and no demand that she disappear from public life. Instead, the document focused on the institution surrounding a royal. According to the account, its central principle was that one sovereign should have one principal working household. The previous monarch's staff would not automatically transfer to the surviving spouse. Communications teams, private secretaries, offices, and other institutional resources would belong to the new reign. Charles reportedly understood the implications before reaching the bottom of the page. The proposal could completely change Camilla's future after his death. To understand why the proposal would matter, you have to understand what a royal household actually means. It is not simply the building where a royal lives. Behind that name is an entire network of people and resources. Private secretaries manage schedules and decisions. Communications staff deal with the press. Advisors organize official work. Other employees coordinate travel, meetings, charities, and public appearances. A person with a household, therefore, has much more than a famous name. They have an institutional structure supporting them. According to the alleged proposal, Camilla could remain a respected member of the royal family while losing the automatic machinery that currently surrounds her. The story reportedly began several days earlier when Catherine examined previous royal transitions. She allegedly asked for detailed information about what happened after earlier monarchs died. One example immediately stood out: the Queen Mother. After George VI died and Elizabeth II became queen, his widow continued living at Clarence House and maintained her own household for decades. She remained an important public figure while her daughter reigned. That precedent had worked within its own circumstances, but Catherine reportedly began asking whether the same arrangement should automatically continue forever. The monarchy had changed, royal families had changed, and future reigns might require a different structure. The question reportedly became more complicated when Catherine considered what a surviving consort's household could eventually mean. A former queen with her own staff, communications operation, diary, residence, and advisors could potentially become another powerful center of attention. That does not mean such a person would intentionally challenge the reigning monarch, but institutionally, the possibility would exist. According to the story, Catherine believed the next sovereign should not automatically inherit that arrangement. The new king or queen should have the freedom to decide which former royals continue public work and under what conditions. The principle was therefore presented as institutional reform rather than personal punishment. William reportedly struggled with the idea because he knew exactly how the public would interpret it. Any proposal affecting Camilla could immediately be connected to Diana. William's mother had died when he was 15, and her death had permanently shaped his relationship with the monarchy and the press. If he suddenly introduced a rule that appeared to reduce Camilla's future influence, critics could call it revenge. They could claim that William had waited decades for an opportunity to settle an old family conflict. According to the account, William did not want that story. He reportedly preferred avoiding confrontation rather than creating another royal controversy. Catherine allegedly gave him a solution that changed everything. She reportedly told William that if the rule looked as though it had been created specifically for Camilla, then it needed to apply to Catherine too. Imagine the future she was describing. William becomes king, Catherine becomes queen, and eventually William dies before her. Their son George inherits the crown. Under this proposed system, Catherine would not automatically receive an independent royal household simply because she had once been queen. She would remain George's mother, retain her personal dignity, and continue causes she cared about. But the institutional machinery would belong to the new king that reportedly stopped William from seeing the proposal as merely a decision about Camilla. Catherine was voluntarily placing herself under the same rule. She was not demanding privileges for her own future while removing them from another royal woman. She was arguing for a principle that would apply regardless of personality, popularity, or family history. According to the account, William then became more comfortable with the idea. The document was reportedly rewritten so that it contained no reference to Diana and no personal attack on Camilla. It was about one thing only. When a reign ends, the institutional structure surrounding that reign should not automatically continue. Then, another question reportedly became unavoidable: Clarence House. For Charles, this was not just another royal building. It had a deeply personal history. The Queen Mother had lived there for decades, and Charles later used it as his own London residence and working base. According to the account, Catherine's proposal raised the possibility that Clarence House could not simply continue functioning as a separate royal headquarters after Charles died. The residence might remain important, but its institutional purpose would have to be decided by the next sovereign. William reportedly understood that this was where the abstract rule became a very real question. Charles allegedly reached the end of the first page and finally asked the question everyone expected: was this about Camilla? William reportedly answered carefully. It would affect Camilla, but it was not written specifically for her. Catherine then allegedly explained that the same principle would apply to herself, according to the story. That was the moment Charles realized he could no longer dismiss the proposal as a personal attack. His own daughter-in-law was voluntarily accepting the same future. The document was not simply saying that Camilla should lose something. It was reportedly saying that no surviving consort should automatically inherit institutional authority from a previous reign. According to the account, Charles then asked for Camilla to join them. She allegedly entered the room, expecting to hear what had happened, and immediately noticed the atmosphere was different. Charles reportedly remained silent while William and Catherine sat near the open folder. William then explained the proposed arrangement. Camilla would remain part of the royal family. Her personal standing would not disappear. She could continue charitable work and attend official events if the reigning monarch invited her. But the household supporting Charles's reign would not automatically become hers. Staff could be reassigned, offices could change, and residences could be reviewed. The automatic machinery would end with the reign. For Camilla, the distinction reportedly made the conversation even more uncomfortable. Losing a title would be obvious. Losing an entire institutional structure could be much quieter. Nobody would necessarily announce that something had been taken away. Instead, the guarantees would simply disappear. Staff who once answered directly to her might answer to the new sovereign. Communications could move to another office. a familiar residence could acquire a different purpose. According to the account, William emphasized that this was not intended as humiliation. Camilla would still be family. But being family and controlling a working royal household were two completely different things. Then came the second page. According to the story, this was the part Camilla had not seen. At the top was reportedly a short principle, followed by a list of future situations. Camilla's name was there, but it was not alone. Catherine was included. Future royal consorts were included as well. The proposal, therefore, allegedly reached far beyond Charles's reign. It was designed to establish a pattern for future generations. No surviving consort would automatically receive an independent court simply because their spouse had been monarch. The next sovereign would decide what role that person continued to play. The institution would belong to the current crown. That second page reportedly changed the emotional weight of the meeting. Camilla could no longer argue that she was being singled out. Catherine had placed herself under the same rule. Even future spouses who had not yet joined the royal family would theoretically face it. The principle would survive individual personalities. According to the account, William believed this was essential. A rule that existed only because of Camilla could easily be reversed or attacked. A rule applying equally to every future consort was much harder to dismiss. The story therefore presents Catherine's sacrifice as the key element that transformed a family controversy into a proposed institutional principle. Princess Anne was reportedly consulted about the wider idea. Her experience inside the monarchy gave her a different perspective from those directly involved in the dispute. According to the account, William wanted to know whether ending the old Queen Mother-style model would create instability. Anne allegedly focused on the role of the reigning monarch. Every new sovereign needs enough freedom to establish their own priorities and working structure. A former royal can remain respected and active without automatically possessing a separate institutional center. That distinction reportedly strengthened William's confidence. The issue was no longer about whether Camilla deserved respect. It was about who controls the machinery of the monarchy. The proposal reportedly reached its most powerful point when Catherine repeated what she was willing to give up. If George eventually became king after William's death, she would not expect a separate court built around herself. She would remain his mother. She could continue supporting charities and causes. She could attend family occasions and public events when invited. But she would not automatically inherit her husband's staff or communication structure. According to the story, Catherine believed George should never have to inherit both his father's crown and his mother's institutional authority. That sentence allegedly gave the entire proposal its strongest justification. The account then connects the proposal to William's childhood. When Diana died in 1997, William was only 15. He walked behind his mother's coffin through London while millions watched. Later, he reportedly described how difficult it was to experience such a deeply personal loss under intense public attention. According to the story, William has therefore spent much of his adult life avoiding situations that could turn private grief into public conflict. A direct confrontation with Camilla would reopen old wounds and invite endless speculation. That is why the alleged proposal was designed around rules rather than revenge. William could change the institution without publicly attacking a member of his family. By the end of the alleged discussion, the principle had reportedly become extremely simple: one reign, one sovereign, and one principal working household. Former consorts could remain important, respected, and involved in public life, but their institutional authority would not automatically survive their spouse's reign. Clarence House would not automatically belong to the previous royal household. Staff would not automatically follow the surviving consort. Future arrangements would be determined by the new sovereign. And because Catherine had reportedly accepted the same limitation for herself, The rule could be defended as something larger than Camilla. It was presented as a possible new approach to royal succession. Whether this alleged Windsor meeting happened exactly as described cannot be independently established from the source. But the question at its center is fascinating. Should a surviving royal consort automatically carry an entire household into the next reign? Or should the new monarch have complete freedom to rebuild the institution around themselves? The proposal described here chooses the second option. Camilla could remain family, Catherine could eventually face the same rule, and future consorts would inherit the principle rather than the machinery of the previous reign. What do you think? Should a former queen keep her own royal household after her husband dies, or should everything pass to the new sovereign? Tell me your opinion in the comments, and subscribe for more royal stories.